You ever notice how the most unforgettable moments between two people rarely come from the perfectly planned date, but instead from those little, unscripted, messy moments? The truth is, as men, we pay attention to things that most women think slip under the radar. One of the biggest: how you react to awkward moments. It sounds small, but it tells us so much. Imagine this: you're out to dinner and you accidentally knock over your drink. It spills everywhere, a little on the table, a little on him, and the entire restaurant seems to freeze for a split second. That reaction you have in that exact moment, whether you laugh, panic, apologize 10 times, make a joke, or shrink into yourself, that's what he remembers. Not the dress, not the lipstick, that moment. Why? Because how you deal with tension reveals how you'll handle the unpredictable things in life. It's not just about spilled wine. It's about when plans fall apart, when you get stuck in traffic, when he tells a dumb joke and no one laughs, or when life throws something unexpected your way. A woman who can breathe through it, smile, maybe even tease herself a little, that's a woman he feels safe around. Not because she's perfect, but because she's human and she owns it. Men aren't looking for someone who never stumbles. We're not under the illusion that women have it all figured out. What captivates us is how you carry yourself when things aren't polished, when you're caught off guard. It speaks volumes. A woman who doesn't spiral in awkwardness, who doesn't turn a small moment into a dramatic event, signals that she can roll with life. And for a man looking for something real that's magnetic, there's a quiet confidence in a woman who can shrug off the silly stuff, who doesn't need to control every little thing to feel secure. That kind of energy, it's rare, and it tells a man that being around her won't feel like walking on eggshells. He doesn't have to perform to perfection. He can let his guard down too. That's powerful. Sometimes it's even smaller than a spill. It's how you react when you say something and he doesn't hear you and asks you to repeat it. Do you get frustrated? Or do you smile and say it again with a little patience? Maybe it's when you trip walking up the steps. Do you laugh and keep walking like nothing happened? Or do you freeze, embarrassed, wishing the ground would swallow you up? These little things, we notice them because they reveal whether you live in your own head or in the moment. And if we're being real, those tiny cracks in the polished surface are often the most beautiful parts. The little laugh you let out when things don't go smoothly, the way you playfully brush off a moment that could have been awkward, that's where your real charm lies. It's not about being cool all the time. It's about being okay with not being cool sometimes. We're watching not because we're judging, but because we're searching. For real, for warmth, for someone who knows that life gets clumsy and love does too. And in a world obsessed with perfection, a woman who handles imperfection with grace. That stands out. It stays in our minds long after the night ends. Before you even open your mouth, you've already told us a story. The way you walk into a room, how you carry yourself, what energy you bring, men pick up on that instantly, often without realizing it. Most women assume we notice only the obvious things, the outfit, the hair, the smile. Sure, those catch our eye, but there's something deeper happening that cuts right through all of that. It's your energy, the unspoken presence you bring with you before a single word is said. We notice whether you walk in like you belong there or like you're waiting to be allowed to. Whether your posture says, "I know who I am," or "I hope no one notices me." That moment when you glance around the room, is it with confidence and curiosity or with hesitation and self-doubt? We don't need a spotlight or a dramatic entrance. What gets our attention is the subtle way your energy fills the space. And believe me, it does. You've probably seen it yourself. Someone walks in, and without saying a word, people look. Not because they're the loudest or flashiest, but because they're present. There's no apology in how they stand or move. That's the kind of presence men feel, and when a woman brings that with her, authentically, not forced, it's impossible not to notice. There's a misconception that you need to be bubbly or extroverted to have this effect. You don't. You could be quiet, reserved, even introverted, and still carry a powerful presence. Because it's not about how much space you take up, it's about how comfortable you are in your own skin. That's what radiates, that's what hits us before the words, before the flirting, before anything physical. It's this invisible signal that says, I'm grounded, I know who I am, I don't need to prove it. Men are drawn to this because it suggests emotional security. A woman who doesn't shrink, who doesn't wait to be invited into the moment, sends a message that she values herself, and that sets the tone for how she expects to be treated. That kind of confidence doesn't just turn heads, it earns respect, and it makes a man think, this is someone I want to show up fully for. It also tells us whether we'll feel good in your company. Because if you walk intense, unsure, or guarded, we feel that. It changes how we approach you. But if you walk in with warmth, openness, and calm confidence, you create a space that draws people in. You give them permission to be at ease too, and for a man who's been through enough surface-level interactions, that kind of energy is refreshing. What makes this so powerful is that it's not about perfection, it's about honesty. When your energy matches your essence, when there's no disconnect between how you feel and how you present, it makes you unforgettable. It tells us you're not performing, you're not seeking approval, you're just being, and that is rare. So yes, we notice how you look, but we notice more how you feel to be around. The way you carry yourself is the first invitation. It tells us who you are long before you tell us your name, and when that energy is rooted in confidence and self-respect, it lingers long after you leave the room. There's something quietly powerful that happens when a man observes how you treat the people around you, especially the ones who have absolutely nothing to offer you. You may not even realize it, but in those tiny, fleeting interactions with a waiter, a barista, a security guard, or the person cleaning the table next to you, you're showing us something far more valuable than your looks or charm. You're revealing the kind of woman you are at your core, and we notice. We really do. See, when you're with a man, especially in the early stages, there's a natural desire to present your best self. You laugh at his jokes, ask questions, engage with eye contact, and bring your best energy to the table. That's normal, but what speaks even louder than how you treat him is how you treat everyone else, especially those who aren't in a position to impress you or do something for you in return. If you smile at the waiter and treat him with kindness, we notice. If you say thank you to the Uber driver, if you're patient when someone's doing their job slowly, if you speak to people with respect regardless of their role, that leaves an impression. Not because you're trying to look good, but because you're showing us that your empathy and decency aren't conditional. They're consistent. And that tells us that if one day we're the ones who mess up, fall short, or can't give you what you want, you're still going to lead with grace, not entitlement. On the flip side, when we see a woman who is cold, dismissive, or even slightly rude to someone she sees as beneath her, that's a red flag we can't ignore. Because if someone's kindness is only reserved for people they want something from, it's not real kindness. And men who are emotionally mature know that today it might be the barista, but tomorrow it could be us. Whether it's how you handle mistakes, how you give feedback, or how you respond to service workers, we're quietly watching, not to judge, but to understand how emotionally safe we might be around you. It's not just about being nice, it's about being real. Men are deeply drawn to women who are grounded enough to treat everyone with dignity, not because they expect praise for it, but because it's who they are. That kind of inner alignment is incredibly attractive. It makes us want to be better. It makes us feel proud to be standing next to you. Because when a man sees a woman who brings warmth and decency into everyday moments, he instinctively starts thinking, that's someone I'd want raising kids with. That's someone I'd want by my side through life. And the truth is, most of the time, we're noticing these things when you think no one's watching. It's when you hold the door open for a stranger, when you say thank you with eye contact, when you're patient during someone's bad day. That's when we see who you really are. And when that realness is rooted in kindness, you don't just stand out, you stay with us. Because in a world full of filters, games, and highlight reels, authentic kindness is a rare kind of beauty. One we never forget. One thing women often underestimate is just how much men pay attention to how they talk about other women. It may seem like a harmless side comment or a passing judgment, but to a man who's tuned in, it speaks volumes. When you speak about other women, whether it's a friend, a stranger, an ex's new girlfriend, or even a celebrity, we hear far more than just the words. We hear what kind of relationship you have with yourself. You might think your words are about asterisk, her asterisk, but they tell us more about asterisk, you asterisk. Because when a woman constantly criticizes other women, even subtly, it shows us where her confidence really stands. A confident woman doesn't need to shrink other people to feel tall. She doesn't rely on comparison to create her own value. And that strength, that's incredibly attractive. But when we hear you tear down another woman's appearance, roll your eyes at her success, or use sarcasm to poke holes in someone else's choices, it triggers something deeper in us. It raises questions, not just about how you see others, but about how you see the world. Will you speak that way about us someday? About our sisters, our mother, will every mistake be met with criticism or compassion? On the flip side, when a woman speaks with respect, even about someone she doesn't necessarily like, we notice that too. A woman who can acknowledge another's beauty without feeling threatened, who can recognize someone's talent or strength without needing to compete, shows a level of security that goes beyond surface confidence. It shows she's not just emotionally intelligent, she's emotionally generous, and that generosity, it's rare. It makes us feel safe, not just admired. There's something incredibly magnetic about a woman who uplifts others, even in their absence. She doesn't gossip to feel included. She doesn't join in on tearing someone down just to fit in. She holds her standards quietly, and it earns her respect not just from women, but from men who are watching closely, even if we don't say it. And this goes beyond girl talk. It matters when we're out with you and you comment on another woman walking by. Are you celebrating her bold outfit or mocking it? Are you appreciating her confidence or calling her attention, seeking? We hear the tone. We notice whether it comes from curiosity or judgment, whether it reflects inner peace or quiet insecurity. And more than that, we take note of how it might feel to be on the receiving end of that one day. Men don't expect women to be saints. We get that people have opinions, but what impresses us isn't perfection. It's emotional maturity, the ability to choose grace over gossip. The willingness to see others as humans, not rivals. That kind of emotional depth makes us lean in, because it tells us that being with you won't feel like being under a microscope. It tells us that you value connection over competition and real confidence over performance. When you lift up other women, it doesn't just reflect well on them, it reflects your own strength. Your ability to celebrate others becomes a mirror of your own self, worth. And when a man sees that, it doesn't just make him admire you, it makes him trust you. And in a world where trust is rare and vulnerability is risky, that kind of woman doesn't just attract attention, she earns devotion. You might think we're just noticing your smile, the way you dress, or how you carry yourself. And yes, those things matter. But something most women don't realize is how closely men pay attention to what you laugh at. Not just whether you have a nice laugh or if you find us funny, but what actually makes you laugh, what genuinely lights you up, what sparks joy in you when no one's performing. It's one of those subtle things that gives us a window into who you really are. Your laugh says more than you think. It tells us what kind of mind you have, how open you are to the moment, and whether you're playful, thoughtful, sarcastic, deep, or maybe all of the above. It tells us whether you take life too seriously or whether you can find lightness in everyday moments. And for a man who's trying to get close to you, not just to impress you, but to understand you, your sense of humor becomes this map we quietly read. It's not about whether you laugh at everything he says. In fact, we notice when you don't laugh at something forced or superficial. That's when we start to see that you're not performing, you're not laughing to please or to play along, you're reacting in a way that's real. And that authenticity is what men crave far more than a woman who's always smiling just to be polite. When you laugh at something unexpected, something honest, silly, even ridiculous, it shows us you're emotionally available. That you're present, that you're not caught in your head worrying about how you come across. You're just being asterisk. And that version of you, the one caught mid-laugh, relaxed and raw, that's the version men want more of. Because that's not a filtered version, that's you. And on the other side of that, men also notice what you don't laugh at. We notice if your sense of humor revolves around putting others down, if the jokes that make you smile are cruel or mocking, or if your laughter comes from someone else's discomfort. That kind of laughter makes a man pause, because it speaks to whether your humor connects or divides, whether it invites others in or creates distance. We also notice whether you can laugh at yourself. That's huge. When a woman can be lighthearted about her own flaws, her own clumsy moments, even her own quirks, it shows confidence, not weakness. It shows she's not pretending to be perfect, and she doesn't need to be. A woman who can tease herself and still hold her dignity. That's rare, and men remember her. Even your silence is telling. If something funny happens and you give a small smile instead of a big laugh, we still notice. And sometimes that subtle response is even more intriguing, because what it really comes down to is connection. We're constantly trying to figure out, do we laugh at the same things? Do we see life in a similar way? Can we be silly together? Can we drop the guard and just play? Because when life gets hard, and it will, what gets couples through isn't just shared values or goals. It's the ability to find laughter in the middle of chaos, to share a private joke that cuts through tension, to be ridiculous together. And so, from the very beginning, when we hear what makes you laugh, we're not just hearing your humor, we're hearing your spirit. We're hearing how you relate to life. And when your laugh feels honest, playful, warm, that's the kind of sound that stays with us long after the night ends. It's the melody we find ourselves replaying in quiet moments because it's not just attractive, it's real. And real is unforgettable. There's a moment that happens early in almost every connection. A man gives a compliment. Maybe it's about your appearance, your laugh, your intelligence, or just the way you carry yourself. It might seem casual or routine to you, but the way you respond to that compliment tells him far more than you might think. In that split second, without you realizing it, you reveal something deeper about yourself, worth, your confidence, and how emotionally available you really are. Most women assume that compliments are just about flattery or politeness, but for a man who's truly paying attention, they're moments of emotional insight. When a woman responds with awkward deflection, brushing it off, downplaying it, or redirecting the attention, we notice. Not because it's wrong, but because it tells us how hard it might be for you to receive. And when someone struggles to receive something as simple as kind words, it raises questions about how open they are to receiving love, presence, and appreciation in general. Then there's the other end of the spectrum, the woman who seems to depend on compliments to feel valuable. You can sense when someone is fishing for validation, even subtly. Maybe it's the way she waits for approval, the way her mood shifts depending on whether she's being praised or not, or how she lights up only when someone tells her what she wants to hear. That kind of dynamic can feel more like a transaction than a connection, and while it might be flattering at first, it doesn't create a feeling of depth. It feels fragile, like everything rests on external feedback, but then there's the rare and powerful moment when a woman accepts a compliment with calm confidence. Not arrogance, not false modesty, just a soft thank you and a steady presence that tells a man everything. It says you know your worth, and you're not ashamed of it. You're not rejecting kindness, nor are you dependent on it. You can stand in your beauty, your strength, your brilliance, and simply own it. That kind of response doesn't just impress us, it inspires us. There's something beautiful about someone who can receive without apology. Someone who doesn't shrink or push the moment away, but who can let it in, smile, and carry on without needing it to define her. It creates ease, it creates trust, because it means if we want to give to you, whether it's our attention, our affection, or our praise, you'll actually let us. You won't make us feel like we've done something wrong by noticing you, and you won't demand it like it's owed to you either. You'll just receive it with grace. That kind of woman is unforgettable. She makes a man want to keep showing up, not because she needs his words, but because she respects them. She makes him feel like what he offers matters, and yet she's not dependent on it to feel whole. There's a quiet power in that. And the kind of man who's looking for something real will feel it immediately. It's not about being perfect. It's not about saying the right thing when someone gives you a compliment. It's about being present. Letting yourself be seen. Letting yourself be appreciated without rushing to prove you're more or less than what's being noticed. When you can do that, you tell us something without saying much at all, that you're ready for love, not the kind you beg for or deflect, but the kind that meets you where you already are. That, more than anything, is what keeps us coming back.